stop scrolling. Before you dive into this emotional roller coaster of buried secrets and unexpected reunions, hit that subscribe button, give this video a huge thumbs up, and tell us in the comments, what is the most shocking discovery you've ever made about your past? The unthinkable reunion at St. Michael's. The morning air at St. Michael's Medical Center, London, was thick with the familiar smell of antiseptic and the stale aroma of lukewarm coffee wafting from the nurse's lounge. Dr. Chloe Hayes adjusted her white coat for the third time in 5 minutes, a nervous habit she'd developed over years of relentless shifts. Her hands, usually steady when holding a scalpel or administering an IV, subtly trembled as she watched the unusual commotion in the hospital courtyard through the hallway window. Luxury black cars lined the main entrance. Security agents in dark suits were strategically positioned. Local reporters adjusted their gear, testing microphones. It was the day of the official visit to the pediatric ward, one of those social obligations the ultra-rich fulfilled to polish their public image. "Are you all right, Dr. Hayes?" Nurse Maya Reyes, the sweet-voiced charge nurse, pulled her back to reality. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Chloe forced a smile and smoothed her coat again. If she had known what kind of ghost was about to cross that hallway, she might have feigned illness and gone home. "I'm perfectly fine, Maya. Just a little tired. The twins woke up early today." A lie. Liam and Willow had slept soundly, as always. What had frayed her nerves was a strange, fragmented dream where voices from the past whispered her name in corridors she couldn't identify. One of those dreams that cling to your soul and won't leave, even with strong coffee. The sound of expensive leather shoes clicking down the corridor brought her back. Chloe took a deep breath and walked towards the ward reception, where she was expected to wait for the visitors. The protocol was simple. Greet them, present the facilities, smile for the photos, and say goodbye. 15 minutes of her life. 15 minutes that would change everything. Alexander Vance appeared in the doorway like a haunting mirage. Time had been generous to him. At 34, he retained the same natural elegance she remembered, but now refined by power and maturity. His bespoke designer suit emphasized his upright, almost military posture. His dark brown hair, once perpetually messy from the wind or his own fingers, was now impeccably styled, but it was his eyes that froze her. Those same deep brown eyes she saw every day on Liam's face. For an infinite moment, they stared at each other across the bustling reception, filled with dignitaries, journalists, and hospital staff. The world around them vanished. The murmur of voices became a distant hum. The sterile smell of disinfectant gave way to the phantom scent of the men's cologne he'd worn 7 years ago. Chloe felt her legs shake, her mouth dry, her heart pounding like she was a 22-year-old resident, not a 31-year-old woman, a mother of 2, who had survived 20 24-hour shifts and sleepless nights nursing sick children. "This is Dr. Chloe Hayes, our head of the pediatric ward." The administrative director's voice boomed from a distance. "This is the team that will welcome our distinguished visitors." Alexander took a step forward, and she noticed he too had paled. His hands, once as confident as hers, clenched into discreet fists. His jaw tightened into an expression she knew well. "A pleasure to meet you, Doctor." His voice was hoarser than usual. He extended his hand, and as their fingers touched, an electric current shot up her arm, reaching parts of her heart she thought she had locked away for good. "The pleasure is all mine," Chloe managed to reply, surprised by her own composure. Her voice was steady, professional. Only her eyes betrayed the internal turmoil. It was then that she noticed the woman beside him, Serafina Thorne. She was everything the gossip magazines described. Tall, blonde, with that impeccable beauty that cost fortunes in aesthetic treatments. Her pastel pink dress, clearly chosen for the occasion, matched her designer handbag and shoes. which cost more than Chloe's monthly salary. Serafina smiled for the cameras with the ease of someone born for the spotlight. "Darling, aren't you going to introduce me?" Serafina's voice had that sweet, calculated tone of people accustomed to getting everything through charm. "Of course. Serafina, this is Dr. Hayes. Serafina is my fiancé." Alexander uttered the word fiancé as if it burned his tongue. Chloe smiled and greeted Serafina. But inside, something shattered. It was irrational. She knew it. 7 years had passed. She herself had tried other relationships, but none had lasted more than a few months. How could she expect him to have stopped in time? The unspoken question. The visit followed the rehearsed script. Chloe presented the rooms, explained the procedures, and smiled for the photos. But with every word, she felt Alexander's gaze on her like an unformulated question. He barely paid attention to the explanations. He barely responded to the reporter's questions. He was clearly disturbed. Serafina, on the other hand, played the part of the devoted future wife to Hollywood perfection. She asked questions about the hospitalized children, distributed calculated hugs, and posed next to Alexander with smiles that looked straight out of an ad campaign. "And where are your own children, doctor?" Serafina's question landed like a dagger disguised as interest. "I imagine it's difficult balancing motherhood and medicine." Chloe felt her blood run cold. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Alexander tense. "My children are at school, and yes, it's a daily challenge, but they are my greatest motivation," she replied with dignity, though she secretly wished to be anywhere but there. "How old are they?" Alexander asked, and his voice had a strange quality that made Chloe look up at him. The silence that followed lasted only 3 seconds, but it was loaded with meaning. Chloe saw something stir in the depths of his eyes. A quick calculation, a suspicion beginning to germinate. 7 years old, he repeated, more to himself than to her. If Liam and Willow, this time, Alexander visibly paled. Serafina, oblivious to the tension, continued to make comments about the hallway decor and how well cared for the children looked. The visit ended without further incident. There were official photos, thank yous, and promises of future alliances between the Vance family pharmaceutical group and the hospital. Chloe said goodbye professionally and locked herself in the nurse's restroom as soon as they left. She rested her hands on the sink and looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was pale, but her eyes shone with a mixture of rage and something she didn't want to name. 7 years. 7 years of building a new life, overcoming the pain, gathering the strength to be both a mother and a father. And in 15 minutes, it all resurfaced, like a wound that had never healed properly. The following hours passed at an automatic pace. Consultations, reports, prescriptions. But Chloe's mind was split between the present and that September morning, 7 years ago, when she woke up in the recovery room and knew he had vanished from her life forever. It was almost the end of her shift when the bomb exploded. Chloe was organizing files when she heard a familiar voice in the hallway, a child's voice, full of curiosity, that made her heart leap in her chest. "Mommy, Mommy, you won't believe what happened today." Liam burst into the nurse's station entrance, still in his school uniform, backpack slung over one shoulder. Behind him, Willow walked with her characteristic seriousness, adjusting her glasses as she observed everything around her with scientific interest. "Calm down, Liam. Say hello to everyone first." Chloe chastised her son, but smiled at the sight of them. These two were the reason she managed to get out of bed every morning. "Good afternoon, team." "Mommy, something very weird happened today," Liam began, interrupted by his own excitement. There was a very fancy man here at the hospital. He looked at me funny when he saw me in the cafeteria. He wore a suit and seemed very important. He had the same hair as me, and he froze when he saw me. Auntie Maya even commented that we looked alike. Liam continued innocently. Then he said something strange. He said I looked like your ex-boyfriend. Chloe felt the world spin. Willow, always observant, frowned. Ex-boyfriend? Mummy, you never said you had an ex-boyfriend. It's just adult talk, darling. Let's go home. I'm tired. But Liam, like any curious child, wasn't letting the topic go. The man asked Auntie Maya my name. When she said I was Liam Hayes, he got very serious. Then he asked if I had a daddy. Auntie said no, that you raised us alone. Every word was a dagger. Chloe felt her hands tremble as she gathered her things, trying to maintain composure in front of her children. And guess what else? Liam continued, oblivious to the drama his words caused. He asked where my sister was. Auntie Maya said I had a twin. Then he ran out of there. Mummy. He really ran. He left his blonde girlfriend talking to herself. Chloe closed her eyes. She knew this moment would come one day. She knew the truth couldn't remain buried forever. But she didn't expect it to be so sudden, so devastating. Mummy, are you okay? Willow approached and touched her arm gently. You're pale. I'm fine, my love, just tired. Let's go home. They walked to the parking lot in silence. Chloe tried to organize her thoughts, to prepare for what she knew was coming. Alexander had found out, or at least he suspected. And knowing him as she did, she knew he wouldn't let it go. The car had barely left the parking lot when her mobile rang. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. Hello, we need to talk. Alexander's voice was cold, controlled, but charged with an intensity she knew well. Not now, Alexander, Now, Chloe, he repeated, and something in the way he pronounced her name made her tremble. I'll be at the hospital in 20 minutes, in the car park. The call ended abruptly. Chloe looked into the rearview mirror at her children. Liam was playing with a toy car in the back seat. Willow was reading a book about dinosaurs, both oblivious to the hurricane about to unleash upon their lives. She knew there was no escaping it now. The truth, after 7 years in hiding, was about to come to light. And for the first time since she had become a mother, Chloe didn't know if she would have the strength to protect what she loved most in the world. Her phone vibrated again, a message. They are my children, aren't they? Chloe parked the car in the home garage. She turned off the engine and remained motionless for long seconds, hands on the steering wheel, eyes closed, her heart pounding fiercely. 7 years of silence were about to break, and she had no idea how she could explain to her children that the father they never knew had appeared in their lives like a ghost from the past. She had tried to forget, but she had never been able to completely erase him from her heart. What do you think Alexander will do now that he's confronted with the truth about his children? Will Chloe finally reveal the full extent of their past? Share your predictions in the comments below. The Broken Vow. Fan 2-3. The Confrontation. The St. Michael's Medical Center car park was almost empty when Chloe arrived. Only a few night guards' cars, and parked right in the center, under the yellowish glow of the street lamp, was Alexander's black Mercedes. She could see him through the rear window, his silhouette tense, his hands nervously running through his hair in a gesture she knew so well. She had left the twins with Mrs. Green, the beloved neighbor who always helped in emergencies. She invented an excuse about an urgent surgery, but Willow looked at her with that distrustful expression she had inherited from Alexander, though she didn't know it. Mummy, are you sure everything is okay? The girl had asked, adjusting her glasses as she observed her mother's worried face. Everything is fine, my love. It's just work. Chloe had kissed her daughter's forehead, inhaling the sweet smell of children's shampoo that always calmed her. Take care of each other, all right? I'll be back soon. But now, standing by her own car, she gathered the courage to face the man she had loved more than her own life and who had abandoned her when she needed him most. Alexander got out of the Mercedes as soon as he saw her. Even under the dim light of the car park, she could see the tension in every line of his body. He had exchanged his elegant suit for dark jeans and a navy polo shirt with rolled-up sleeves. He looked more accessible that way, more like the man she had known 7 years ago. "Thank you for coming," he said, stopping a few meters away, as if he didn't trust himself to get closer. "I didn't have a choice, from what I understand." Chloe crossed her arms, more for protection than coldness. "What do you want, Alexander?" "I want the truth. I need to know if Liam and Willow are your children." "You mean your children?" She completed the question he couldn't formulate. "Is that what you want to know?" Alexander closed his eyes for a moment, as if the words were a stab. "My God, Chloe, they are. I saw it on the boy's face. I saw it in every feature, every expression. How could you hide this from me?" The rage she had kept stored for 7 years exploded like a broken dam. "How could I hide it? How dare you ask me this after abandoning me when I needed you most?" "Abandoning you? What are you talking about?" Alexander faced her with genuine confusion. "You were the one who disappeared. You lost the babies, and you just vanished from my life." "I lost the babies?" Her voice came out as an incredulous whisper. "I lost the babies? Alexander, what are you talking about? I was told that—" She stopped, an expression of horror beginning to form on his face. "I was told you'd lost the pregnancy, that you were devastated, and decided to distance yourself from everything and everyone, that you didn't want to see me anymore." Chloe felt her legs tremble. She needed to lean on the car hood not to fall. "Who told you that?" "My mother. Sarah. She went to the hospital when she heard you had collapsed. She—" Alexander's voice trailed off as the truth began to unfold in his mind. "She told me she had spoken to you, that you were heartbroken, that you didn't want me to suffer too." "Your mother lied, Alexander." The words came out charged with pain so old it felt physical. "I never lost the babies. I tried to find you. I tried to call you, message you, talk to your friends. All contacts were blocked. I thought you had decided you didn't want me anymore." The silence that followed was deafening. Alexander ran his hands through his hair. He paced back and forth like a caged animal, processing the magnitude of what he had discovered. "She couldn't have," he murmured, more to himself. "My own mother couldn't have done that." "She could, and she did." Chloe wiped away a tear that insisted on flowing. "For 7 years, I raised our children alone because I thought you had rejected me. For 7 years, they asked about their father, and I didn't know what to answer, because I didn't understand how you had simply disappeared." Alexander stopped pacing and confronted her. Under the yellowish light of the street lamp, she could see tears glistening in his eyes. "Chloe, I swear by everything sacred that I didn't know. If you had known, if you had known you were pregnant, that they existed, what would you have done?" His voice trembled between rage and desperation. "Would you have defied your mother? Would you have taken responsibility for a poor resident who wasn't up to the Brooks Vance world?" "I would have married you." The answer was quick, categorical, like a gunshot. "I would have married you that very day and faced the whole world if necessary." Chloe felt her heart stop for a moment. For 7 years, she had wondered what his reaction would have been. For 7 years, she had oscillated between imagining he would flee in fear or embrace her with joy. She had never considered the answer could be so simple, so direct. "But that's not what happened," she said softly. "And now it's too late. It's too late for us." "It is," Alexander agreed, taking a step toward her. "But it's not too late for them. My children, Chloe. Our children grew up for 7 years without knowing they have a father who would have loved them from the first second. They don't need you now." The phrase came out more defensively than she intended. "We are fine. We managed on our own." "I'm sure you did." Alexander smiled for the first time since he arrived. A sad smile, full of pride and remorse. Just by seeing them, I can tell you're an incredible mother. Liam has that genuine curiosity, that joy that lights up a room. Willow has an adorable seriousness, that way of observing. They're perfect. You observed them, Chloe frowned. When the boy appeared in the cafeteria today, I froze. It was like seeing myself in a mirror of the past. And then, when I found out he had a twin sister, Alexander shook his head. I knew something wasn't right. I started adding up the dates, the ages, it all fit. And what do you intend to do now? The question came out charged with fear. Suddenly appear in their lives and turn everything upside down? I don't know. His honesty surprised her. I just know I can't simply pretend it didn't happen. They are my children, Chloe, my blood, my responsibility. And you? He hesitated, as if the next words were too dangerous to be spoken. You are still the woman I loved most in my life. No. Chloe shook her head vehemently. Don't do that. Don't bring the past back as if nothing happened. I'm no longer that naive girl who fell in love with you. I've grown. I've matured. I've learned to survive without you. I know, and that's exactly why. I'm still in love with you. The words hung in the air between them, like a dangerous confession. Chloe felt her chest tighten. Her breath hitched. For 7 years, she had dreamed of hearing those words. For 7 years, she had imagined what it would be like if he came back, if he discovered the truth, if he apologized. But now that the moment had arrived, she could only feel fear. You're engaged, Alexander, she reminded him, trying to cling to reality. Serafina seems like a lovely woman. Don't ruin your life for a ghost from the past. Serafina is a family arrangement. The bitterness in his voice was unmistakable. After you disappeared, my mother started pressuring me to marry for business. Serafina is the daughter of one of the partners in the pharmaceutical group. It's a strategic alliance, not a romance. And you accepted? I had given up believing in true love. I thought you were the only chance I had to be truly happy. When I thought I'd lost you, I agreed to live a convenient life. But now I know you're alive. That my children are alive. That everything worth living for still exists. He extended his hand slowly, touching her face with his fingertips. How can I keep pretending it doesn't matter? Chloe closed her eyes, and for a moment, she allowed herself to feel the familiar touch, the texture of his skin, the warmth that had always calmed her. But reality quickly brought her back. And your children, Alexander. She pulled away from his touch. Have you thought about what this means for them? They are not pets you can visit when you feel like it. They are children, with feelings, fears, needs. That's why I'm here. The seriousness in his voice was absolute. I don't want to be a weekend visitor in their lives. I want to be a father, a real father. They don't even know you exist, so let me change that little by little the right way. Alexander looked at her with an intensity that reminded her of how he used to look at her when they planned their future. Give me a chance to meet them, to earn the place that is legitimately mine. Chloe felt the weight of the decision on her shoulders. On one hand, she knew Liam and Willow deserved to know their father. On the other, she feared they would become attached and then be abandoned again. I need to think about it, she finally said. I need time to process all this. How much time? I don't know. She walked back to her own car. Just don't show up in their lives without my knowledge, okay? If you really want to do this right, then respect me enough to include me in the decisions. Agreed. Alexander nodded. But Chloe, I won't give up. Not this time. She stopped with her hand on the car door and looked over her shoulder. And Serafina, I will end the engagement. It's not fair to her to pretend I feel something I don't. The answer came without hesitation. I should have done it a long time ago. Chloe got into the car without responding and drove away. In the rearview mirror, she saw Alexander standing in the middle of the car park, hands in his pockets, watching her leave. He looked as lost as she felt. The drive back home passed like a blur. When she arrived, Mrs. Green informed her that the children had eaten dinner and were already asleep. Chloe thanked her neighbor and entered the house silently. She walked to the twins' room and stood at the door, watching them sleep. Liam was face down, arms outstretched, his breathing deep and peaceful. Willow slept on her side, hugging the teddy bear she received on her 5th birthday, her glasses carefully folded on the bedside table. They were her children, her babies. For 7 years, she had been everything to them. Mother, father, provider, comforter, teacher. For 7 years, she had functioned perfectly well without Alexander Vance, but looking at them now, she could see his features that she had tried to ignore. The shape of Liam's ears, Willow's jawline, the way they both frowned when concentrating. They had a right to know their father, and Alexander had a right to know them. But she also had the right to protect them from another possible disappointment. Chloe left the room and poured herself a cup of tea, sitting at the kitchen table, where she used to help her children with homework. The house was silent, but her mind was a whirlwind of contradictory thoughts. It was then that the phone rang again. This time, she recognized the number. "Alexander, I'm sorry to call so late. I just need you to know one thing." His voice was different, more determined. "I just spoke to my mother." Chloe felt her stomach clench. "And I confronted her with the truth. She confessed everything." The rage in Alexander's voice was palpable. "She really made you believe that I no longer wanted to see you. She blocked all means of communication. She fabricated the story about you losing the babies, all to keep me away from you. Why?" The question came out as a whisper of error. "Because you weren't good enough for a Vance. Because she thought you were after the family money. Because she wanted to control my life and choose my wife." Every word sounded like broken glass. "She destroyed 7 years of our lives out of pure prejudice and lust for power." Chloe closed her eyes, feeling a mix of relief and rage. Relief at finally knowing the truth. Rage at having been so cruelly manipulated. "What are you going to do?" "First, I'm going to end any influence she has over my life. Second, I'm going to end this ridiculous engagement. And third," he paused, "I'm going to do everything in my power to make up for the lost time with my children. And if you let me, with you." "Chloe, I know I can't just erase 7 years of pain. I know I can't go back in time and be present when you needed me. But I can start now. I can be the father they deserve, and the man you deserve. If you give me a chance." Chloe held the phone tighter, fighting the emotion that threatened to overwhelm her. "I need time, Alexander, and you need to understand that this isn't just about us two. They are the ones who matter now, okay? Completely." The answer came without hesitation. "All I want is to know my children. We'll figure out the rest calmly." After the call ended, Chloe remained sitting in the kitchen until very late, processing everything that had happened. 7 years of her life had been built on a lie. 7 years of forced independence, emotional loneliness, unanswered questions. But also 7 years of growth, strength, and discovering that she was capable of much more than she imagined. Now, for the first time in a long time, the future was a blank page. And she didn't know if that excited her or terrified her. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for Chloe and Alexander as they try to rebuild their family? How will the children react to the complete truth? Share your insights and predictions. For Always and One Day More, Fan 33, A New Beginning, The Threat, and The Trial. 3 weeks passed since the revelation in the hospital car park. 3 weeks of cautious conversations, gradual rapprochement, and discoveries that changed everything every day. 3 weeks in which Chloe slept poorly, ate little, and constantly relived every word exchanged with Alexander that night that changed everything. During those days, she had observed her children with an almost scientific attention, looking for signs that they were missing something, that there was a void in their lives that needed to be filled. Liam was still the cheerful child he always was, running through the hospital corridors, making friends with all the staff, laughing loud and unreservedly. Willow maintained her characteristic seriousness, but Chloe had noticed she had started asking more questions about families, about fathers, about how people met and married. It was as if, by instinct, they knew something important was about to happen. Chloe had decided to tell the children the truth, but gradually, respecting each one's processing time. She started by explaining that their father hadn't abandoned them, but that a very serious misunderstanding had separated them for years. Sometimes bad people do ugly things to separate people who love each other. Chloe chose her words carefully. Your father never knew you existed because someone lied to him. Someone lied? Liam stopped playing, his eyes wide. But lying is bad. Very bad, my love. And that's why you grew up without knowing him. And where is he now? Willow's question came charged with a seriousness that broke Chloe's heart. He wants to meet you. He wants to be a real daddy. But I need to be sure that you want that too. Is he handsome? Liam suddenly asked, making Chloe smile. Very handsome. You look a lot like him. And is he good? Willow turned to her mother, a rare vulnerability shining in her eyes behind her glasses. Very good. The best I've ever known. If he was sad when he thought we died, then he must love us, right? Liam's childlike logic was irrefutable. Yes, my love. Then let's meet him. Liam clapped excitedly. Can it be today? It can't be today, Liam. These things take time, Willow replied. She looked at her mother with a wisdom that didn't fit her age. But we can meet him little by little, right, Mummy? Yes, my darling. And so it began. The first meeting took place at the park, 2 blocks from the hospital. Neutral ground, where the children would feel comfortable, and where Chloe could control the situation if necessary. Alexander arrived punctually at 3 on a sunny Saturday, with a football and a bubble kit. Simple gifts that showed he had thought carefully about what would be appropriate for a first meeting. Is that him? Liam whispered, following his mother's gaze. That's him. Wow, I look a lot like him, the boy exclaimed excitedly. Look, Willow, even the eyebrow is the same. Willow observed Alexander with her usual scientific intensity, cataloging similarities and differences. Hello? Alexander said, stopping at a respectful distance. His voice trembled slightly on the first word. You must be Willow and Liam. I'm Liam. The boy stepped forward without a trace of shyness. My mummy said you're our daddy. Is that true? The direct question made Alexander swallow. He looked quickly at Chloe, who nodded, encouraging him. It's true. Yes, I am your father. And hers too, he replied, looking at Willow with affection. But why didn't you come to see us before? Willow's question came charged with seriousness, not reproach, just genuine curiosity. Because I didn't know you existed. Alexander knelt to their height. Someone lied to me and told me you hadn't been born. It was the biggest lie I've ever been told in my life, because you are the most important thing that has ever happened to me. The simple and honest answer seemed to satisfy Liam, who smiled openly. But it was Willow who asked the next question, always more cautious. And now you're going to boss us around? No, Willow. Your mummy is the one who bosses you around. She's the one who knows what's best for you, because she's the one who has taken care of you until now. I just want to be a part of your lives, if you let me. Can you tell stories? Liam approached interestedly. I know some. I can invent others. Invent one now, the boy asked. Alexander looked around, searching for inspiration. His eyes stopped on a butterfly that had landed on a nearby flower. Once upon a time, there was a very special butterfly, he began. It was different from all the other butterflies because it had 2 colors instead of 1. Blue on one side, yellow on the other. Like me and Willow, Liam interrupted excitedly. We're twins, but different. Exactly like you. Alexander smiled. The blue and yellow butterfly flew around the garden, looking for other butterflies just like her. But she never found them. Until one day she discovered that she didn't need to find others like her. She just needed to find someone who loved her just the way she was. And did she find it? Willow asked quietly. Yes, she found it. She found a whole family that loved her. The mummy butterfly, who had always known she was special, and the daddy butterfly, who had been away for a long time. But he came back because he couldn't live without her. And did they stay together forever? Liam wanted to know the end. They stayed together for always and one day more, Alexander replied, looking directly at Chloe. The phrase resonated with something she used to say to the children, and she wondered if he remembered it, or if it was just a coincidence. Do you want to play with us? Liam asked, apparently satisfied with the story. And so, in the middle of the park, surrounded by the sound of other children playing and the smell of freshly cut grass, a family began to form. The betrayal and the unexpected hero. The weeks that followed brought more meetings, each one revealing new layers of Alexander's personality as a father and deepening the bonds that were forming. He was a natural. He ran after the ball with Liam, laughed when the boys scored a goal in their impromptu game, and patiently listened as Willow explained the differences between the types of leaves she collected. Daddy, Liam said suddenly, trying the word on his tongue. Can I call you Daddy? Alexander stopped mid-movement, a half-formed soap bubble on the wand he held, his eyes filled with tears he tried to hide, blinking quickly. Of course you can. It would be the greatest honor of my life. Daddy, Liam repeated, liking the sound. Daddy, you're going to come and play with us always. As long as your mummy lets me. Mummy will let you. Right, Mummy? Liam turned to Chloe, who was fighting back her own tears. Yes, my love. But Seraphina's thirst for revenge proved to be much deeper and more dangerous than anyone could imagine. Alexander's ex-fiancée did not take the end of the engagement well. When Alexander sought her out to explain the situation, she had reacted with a fury that surprised even him. You're ending our engagement for some random doctor and two brats that aren't even yours, she had screamed, throwing the engagement ring at his face with such force it left a red mark on his forehead. The suggestion hit him like a punch to the stomach, not because he doubted Chloe's honesty, but because Seraphina had planted a seed he knew she would use against them. If you lay a finger on her or the children, I will destroy you. And that's exactly what happened. 2 weeks later, Chloe received an official notification from the British Medical Association. She was under investigation for medical negligence in a case from 2 years ago, a baby who had been admitted with pneumonia during one of her shifts, and who, according to the complaint, had not received the proper treatment. The investigation developed rapidly, driven by expensive lawyers and witnesses who changed their versions of the facts for a payment. In 3 weeks, Chloe saw her professional reputation systematically destroyed. It was Alexander who discovered the truth. My mother and Seraphina are working together, he said, bursting into her apartment one rainy Thursday night. They hired private investigators, bribed witnesses. They're doing everything possible to ruin you professionally. Why? Chloe was exhausted, because if you lose your medical license, if your reputation is destroyed, they can sue for custody of the children, alleging financial and emotional instability. Chloe's blood ran cold. I won't lose them! You won't. He approached. He cupped her face in his hands. I swear by everything sacred that I won't let that happen. Alexander fulfilled his promise. He hired the best lawyers in London, private detectives to investigate the irregularities in the accusations, and psychologists to testify about Chloe's emotional stability and the children's well-being. But the one who truly changed the course of the process was Willow. On the day of the final hearing at the Royal Courts of Justice, the courtroom was packed. The process had been underway for 2 hours, when the lawyer for Alexander's mother, Sarah Vance, began his final argument. Your Honor, we are here to protect two innocent children from a situation that can harm their emotional and social development. The claimant, Dr. Chloe Hayes, despite her professional qualifications, has demonstrated significant emotional instability. First, she concealed the existence of the minors from the biological father for 7 years, depriving them of the constitutional right to know their father. It was then that Willow got up from her chair. The girl was already walking down the central aisle of the courtroom. Her small, determined steps echoed in the absolute silence that settled. Your Honor, she said, stopping in front of the judge's bench, her voice clear despite her nervousness. I want to speak. What is your name, dear? Judge Henderson asked softly. Willow Hayes. I'm 7 years old, and I want to talk about my mummy. You may speak, child, but remember, you must always tell the truth. I always tell the truth, Willow replied, adjusting her glasses with her characteristic gesture. My mummy taught me that lying is bad. Some people here are saying that my mummy doesn't take good care of me and my brother. But they are lying. Mummy is someone who loves us even when we are naughty. Mummy is someone who worries when we come home late from school. Mummy is someone who cries with us when we are sad and laughs with us when we are happy. Mummy is someone who works hard, so we have what we need, but she never complains. The room was in absolute silence. Even the lawyers had stopped moving their papers. Now I also have a daddy, and I'm very happy. He is good and tells funny stories. Willow looked at Alexander with affection. But the one who raised me, the one who taught me who I am, the one who was with me every day of my life, was her. She pointed to Chloe. If someone wants to take custody away from her, then they can take my life too, because I belong to her, and I always will. The judge hit the gavel with determination. Case dismissed for lack of consistent evidence. Custody remains with the mother, Dr. Chloe Hayes. And I publicly declare that any new attempt at judicial persecution against this family will be viewed as abuse of the judicial system and may result in sanctions for those responsible. Chloe collapsed in tears. Alexander hugged her right there, in front of everyone. Liam ran to join the embrace, followed by Willow, who finally allowed her own tears to fall. The final promise. I have a proposal for you, Alexander said on a Sunday afternoon, 3 months after the trial. They were at Chloe's apartment, watching a movie while the children played in their room. Alexander got up from the sofa and, to her complete surprise, knelt on the living room floor, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Marry me. Chloe almost dropped the bowl of popcorn. Marry me. Not out of obligation, not out of convenience, not because it's expected. Marry me because I love you, because I have always loved you, because I want to spend the rest of my life making up for the time we lost. Alexander, I know it's complicated. I know you're afraid. I know 7 years of pain don't disappear overnight. And if it doesn't work out, and if you get tired of us, and if your family pressures you again, my family is the 3 of you. The answer came without hesitation, firm as a promise carved in stone. The rest of the world can say what they want. You are my family, my life, my happiness. And as for the fear of it not working out, he touched her face gently. I'm scared too. Scared of not being a good father, of not being able to make up for lost time, of not deserving a second chance. But I prefer to be scared by your side than brave away from you. Before she could answer, a familiar voice echoed through the apartment. Daddy! Daddy! Willow said you're going to marry Mummy! Is it true? Liam appeared running into the living room. Mummy, do you want to marry Daddy? Willow asked, with her characteristic seriousness. Chloe looked around at Alexander, with his eyes full of hope and unconditional love. At Liam, jumping with excitement. At Willow, serious and observant. but with a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She realized that what would be best for them would also be best for her. "Yes," she finally said, her voice steady despite the tears. "Yes, I do." "Now you're going to be together for always?" Lily asked, always needing to confirm the important details. "For always." "One day more," Chloe replied. 6 months later, in a simple ceremony in the garden of the house they bought together in Hampstead, Dr. Chloe Hayes became Dr. Evelyn Brooks. "Evelyn," Alexander said in his vows, "you taught me that love is not about finding the perfect person, but about perfectly loving the person you find. You showed me that family is not defined by blood or DNA, but by choice, dedication, and daily presence. I promise to be present. I promise to choose you every day. I promise to love our children with the intensity they deserve, and with the gratitude of someone who almost lost what matters most." When the officiant declared them husband and wife, the kiss was watched by 2 children, who applauded enthusiastically without any gross this time. "Mommy!" Willow appeared by her side when the music stopped, still in her bridesmaid dress, but with her shoes in her hands, because they were tight. "Are we a real family now?" "We were always a real family, my love." Chloe kissed her daughter's forehead. "Only now we are a complete family, and we're going to be together for always, and one day more." What was the most moving moment in Chloe and Alexander's journey for you? How do you feel about the profound transformation their family experienced? Share your final reflections on their inspiring story. Don't forget to like and share this video if you believe in second chances.